I made an episode this week for the boys, and it's my episode 4 of a series for men who are in the dating space, probably older men, 40s, 50s, 60s. And this is a companion piece for the girls. So I explained some things in the episode for men who have a tendency to have an avoidant attachment style. Of course, they would need to know that. But this is like the same information except geared toward the girls who are also in the dating space, probably in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Maybe. I know there are some girls out there listening who are in their 70s. So there is a particular kind of crazy that a woman feels when she's been dating an avoidant man for a while. It can be even as long as 3 years. That would be me. And I would just start right there. You are not crazy. We are not crazy. I am not crazy. You've been tracking something real. The fact that you can't quite name what you've been experiencing or what you've been tracking fully is part of what makes the experience so disorienting. And it's the part dating advice, the dating advice, like industrial complex, never really explains. There are some important pieces. And I'm bringing this out because some of them are actually things that my boyfriend and I have realized that I've been with this man for 3 years and we've known he has a pretty intense avoidant attachment style, which has improved significantly. But there are still parts of it that we figure out are like, oh, and what we're going to talk about today is one of those parts. Most of the dating advice and what you're going to hear online is too busy telling you to stop being anxious or play hard to get or don't be the one to text, all these things. All right. So I want to do something different. Welcome back to Pulling Threads. I'm Leslie. If you've been here for a while, you know I've been writing the series for the boys, a playlist of episodes specifically addressed to men and different types of men. So each episode is a little bit different. They may not land for every man. Obviously, not every man is suffering with an avoidant attachment style. Some men like their avoidant attachment style. So each episode is different. Not all of them are geared toward avoidant men. Some are geared towards men who've just recently gone through divorce. And that's the way it'll continue. But last week's episode, or this past week's episode, was for the avoidant man in the audience. The one who pulls away, who ghosts, who discards, the one who goes hot and cold and disappears and comes back, and the ones who can't quite tell you what they want. So today's episode is for women on the other side of that conversation. The ones who've been driving themselves crazy, trying to make sense of what he has been asking for. So confusing and exhausting. And I want to be clear and very upfront. Today is not about him. It's about you and what you've been tracking and what to do with what you find when you finally have language for it. So let's start with what is actually happening. What he really wants is two things that sound like they cannot both be true. He wants you to want him so much that you would orient your whole life around him. Pick up the phone first, choose him over your friends, make him the center of your week. And he wants you to have your own life, your own friends, your own work, your own existence, complete, that does not depend on him to function. He wants to be the most important thing in your world, and he wants your world to be full enough that being important in it actually means something. Think about that. Men have these two needs on different spectrums, just like everyone, right? We all have we're all on a spectrum of things. My anxiousness is on a spectrum different than other people's. Some people, like my boyfriend, he doesn't want to be needed so much. He doesn't want to even be asked or considered for any household help or anything like that. And at first, that came off as really rude and non-masculine and was a little ick. But we tried just putting in air filters one time, and he's very tall and I'm not. And he's like, oh, this feels like something you're going to need me for. And I was like, this is definitely something that you can help with. Like, it's great. And he's like, no, no. So that was early on in our relationship. His avoidant tendencies at that point were really severe. So this idea that I would now realize, oh, this is easy for him. I'm going to depend on him to do this for me every month. That was too much for his system. And at the time, I thought it was rude. And I was like, okay, like, help me with the filters. I just need help. But now I've come to realize that this is part of he's really intensely in a healing and therapeutic space right now. And now we recognize, oh, he actually has a wound around being needed. So he wants you to want him and put him on a pedestal and, oh my God, he's the center of my universe. But he doesn't want you to need him. There's something very unsafe for him when he feels like my existence depends on him or I need him for something, even something so simple as. So if you have been with your person for any length of time, you've already learned this in your body, even if no one has named it for you. And like me, it may have just seemed like an annoyance, or it's just an excuse to not have to help around the house, or you learned it when you had to cancel going to your friend's birthday party to stay in with him, and he distanced himself after that for a week. You might have learned it the time you took a girl's weekend and he texted you more affectionate things during the 3 days that you were gone than he had in the past 3 months, because he liked that. You learned it at the time you tried to give him space and he interpreted it as you not wanting it. And then the time you tried to close the gap and he interpreted it as suffocation. Same week, opposite singles, all real. You're not crazy. It's just so hard. He really does want both. The problem is that he doesn't always know it consciously. So he can't tell you. So you've been guessing for your entire relationship and getting the answer wrong half the time and concluding that something is wrong with you. So how do you navigate this? Like, and what's happening inside of him? It's a puzzle. But here's what is actually happening. He's running an attachment pattern that researchers call dismissive avoidance. We will only use that term once today because the diagnosis matters less than the experience that you're having. But in plain language, what it means is that very, very early in his life, his nervous system learned two things at the same time. That love means being needed, and being needed is suffocating. His child nervous system, trying to make sense of the contradiction, came up with a brilliant solution. It learned to want closeness from a distance. Want closeness, but need space. Specifically, closeness with a woman whose own life is full enough that her need for him would not feel like engulfment, suffocating, the stealing or taking away of his independence. So when he meets you, you're being scanned in real time for two qualities. Do you choose him? And do you have a life that does not depend on him? He's going to want you to be loyal He's going to want to be your everything. He's also going to want you to have a life that's full without him. So when the answer is both to both of these things is yes, his nervous system relaxes. He can be present with you and he can stay. In my boyfriend's journal at about the 3 month mark, between 3 and 4 month, he wrote that he was dating more than one person up until about 2 months. So maybe it was around the 2 month mark. Anyway, his comment about me was, I'm intrigued by her. And looking back when he met me, I was so busy. I was like living my best life, just recently divorced, enjoying the freedom. I bought my own house. So I was busy with the house, busy with my kids, busy in clinical social work school at that time. So I was finishing up. And so I spent a lot more time then with my friends. Now we're 3 years in now. And I did go through a period where I was so busy with starting my own business, being a mom, and getting those things off the ground. Plus, the relationship just took up an enormous amount of space because I believed he needed to be the center of my universe. I would never tell him no before. We went through a period where I never said no. If he proposed we do something, I said yes. And what we've realized now that both of us feel more secure is that he is most attracted to me when I tell him, no, I'm not going to come back home this morning and have coffee with you. I'm going to go straight to my office. I've got something to do. Or I'm going to go walk with my friend instead. Or I'm having dinner with the girls tonight. That turns him on. I thought I always needed to be available for him. Some of that was my anxiousness and my insecurity, thinking that if I wasn't available for him, maybe someone else would be. But now that we are committed and we're in this exclusive monogamous relationship, it does feel more safe to say no and go do my own thing. But I suffered in the middle of this relationship when I stopped doing that, and it was less attractive for him. So now that I'm back to my normal self and feeling safe and secure, he's able to express to me, I really like it when you're busy. Like, I like it when you tell me no. Then it makes me long for you more. So, hence, some of the reason for doing this research was to dig a little bit deeper and better understand this phenomenon, not just for you guys, but for us, so that we can continue to navigate this the best way. So, when the answer to either of these is no, you can't make him the center of your universe, or no, you don't have your own world and your own life, when you seem too independent or uninterested, if you seem too independent and uninterested, or when you seem too invested and too dependent, his system is going to read either of those as a threat, and he's probably going to then pull away, maybe even do a full discard. This is what the hot cold has been. You've been moving across his nervous system's narrow banded safety, and every time you crossed an edge, his system fires off that there's danger. So, why is the internet not telling us this? Why are we not hearing this part about the avoidant man? And I want to be really careful here, because this is the place where most advice for women dating avoidant men becomes harmful. And I have to tell you the truth about that, because it has been costing you. The advice you usually get is have your own life as a strategy. Be unbothered. Don't text first. Be aloof. Make him chase. Withhold. Mirror his energy. That's not working with these men. If there is something about this type of man I'm describing, these avoidants that you tend to be attracted to, the minute you act like you don't care about them and they believe you, they're done. They want to be sure that you're into them. They want to be worshiped. They do. They want to be worshiped. They want to be loved. They just want you to have your own life too. So these strategies that are out there, the just don't text back and play hard to get, those are games and they don't work. It doesn't work for a reason that almost no one is explaining. And this is so tricky. His nervous system is not stupid. It can detect performed distance instantly. Performed distance is, in fact, another form of engulfment. It's your full attention oriented toward him, dressed up as not caring. They can tell. He feels it. His system reads it as exactly what it is, strategy. And his system pulls away from strategy the same way it pulls away from neediness. Because both are versions of being asked for something. Both are versions of you orbiting him. My boyfriend used to call the women who he had in his life before me the orbiters. There was a reason. They never went away. He would push them away, tell him he was not interested, and they would orbit. And then he would pull them back in, spend time with them for a little while, push them away. He literally called them orbiters. And both versions of you orbiting him are not going to work, all right? The thing his system actually relaxes around is the real thing. A woman whose life genuinely does not require him to be okay. Because most men go in and out of being okay. And so if they feel like you need them to be okay, they can't handle it. All right? They need you to be okay, not as an act, as a fact. This is the part where the advice becomes a recognition of a strategy. You don't build a full life so he will choose you. You build a full life because that is the only life worth living. If he comes towards it, beautiful. If he doesn't, you still have a full life. That orientation, and only that orientation, is what his system reads as true. The full life is the point, not the bait, not the bait. So what did that look like for my boyfriend and I? I mean, we're talking about a pretty significant dismissive avoidance. So at the 4-month mark, he called and said, hey, things have been great. It's been great getting to know you. I'm already saying I love you at this point, and he is too. And he says, I think we should just walk away now. Like, this has been wonderful. And so he tried the discard thing. And I was like, what is this? And I very calmly, I did my MBSR, my mindfulness-based stress reduction, do not react. And I just said, oh, okay. That's odd. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Things have been great. In fact, things had been really great and things had been going so well. Like, his nervous system was starting to feel overwhelmed by the relationship. So he was doing his discard, his pullback. And instead of panicking and saying, oh my God, like, we're great. What are you talking about? Like, I just said, oh, okay. If that's what you want, that's what you need, okay. I mean, I thought things were going really well. I've really enjoyed spending time with you. I care for you deeply, obviously. I feel disappointed, but if this is what you need, then okay, would you like some time to think about it? And he was so disoriented because in every other discard in his past, the person panicked. And because he probably had a tendency to be with women who were more anxious, they'd be yelling or screaming. And he says, when I said that, he was so disoriented and taken aback that he didn't know what to do. So we just kept talking. And then he was like, okay, we can keep trying it, but we can't see each other more than a couple of times a week, because he was starting to feel like it was feeling like I was needing too much time from him. I was like, okay, that's great. If I'll just see you a couple times a week, that's fine. I'm busy. I'm really busy. Like, I have a lot going on right now, so that works great for me too. And jokes about it now. He was so used to those conversations ending, either ghosting someone completely, or those conversations ending with yelling and then blocking the person, that he didn't know what to do. He was like, staying calm, and she's agreeing, and what is this? So we kept moving forward. So what do you guys do? Like, how do you actually approach this in dating? I'm going to say 5 things that you need to do, right? And I want to be clear, my situation isn't going to happen to everyone. And I wasn't faking it, being calm either. I wasn't playing the game. I meant it. I really care for you. I love you. I've loved this time we spend together. I would hate to not spend more time with you. But if this is what you need, then okay, I'll be okay. And I think I said something like, I love myself and I love my life. I'll be okay. And he was like, what? So, first recommendation, don't text him first all day. Not as a tactic. Because if you're texting him all day, you are not in your life. You're in his. All right? Stay in yours. Stay in your life. Because think about it. If you're texting him all day, or you're thinking about texting him all day, you're not being present. You're not being mindful. You're not awake. Don't be in a trance. Second, don't make him your primary emotional regulator. Have other people. Have other practices. The friends you call when something hard happens. The work that you love and feel so passionate about. The body that you live in. Things that you have. The things you do that have nothing to do with romance. Yes. These are not backup support. They are your foundation. And they're so important, because this person is probably not going to be able to be your emotional regulator, and you're desperately going to want them to be. Romantic partners get added to the top of the foundation. They can't be the foundation. Not for anyone, but especially not for an avoidant man whose nervous system reads being the foundation as engulfment. That's what we're talking about here. If he thinks he's your rock, he's going to be overwhelmed. So build your foundation, and he goes on top. Third, let him pursue, not because you're playing hard to get, because pursuit is the way avoidant men show you that they have closed the gap from their side. If he's doing the closing, it means he wants to. If he's not doing the closing, no amount of you closing will create the relationship that you want. And you want to be pursued. We want to be pursued. We love to feel adored and chased a little bit. You will only train him to expect you to do the work of connection. And the more work you do, the more he will withdraw, because the dynamic itself will start to feel like engulfment. So, fourth, communicate clearly when you do communicate. Avoidant men respond beautifully to clear, low drama articulation. I'm going to dinner with friends Thursday. See you Friday. This is exactly right. Are you mad at me? You've been distant. That's exactly wrong. Not because the second one isn't valid, it usually is, but because it routes the conversation through the channel his system is most defended against. They're better channels. They tend to involve clarity instead of questioning. Fifth, and this is the most important one, pay attention to whether he closes the gap. A healthy avoidant man, given a woman with her own life, will move toward her, sometimes slowly, but he will move. An unhealed avoidant man will use the space that you give him to disappear, and then he'll complain that you don't text him enough. The first one is with your patience. The second one is not. I know that's hard. And the only way to tell the difference is to have your own life and watch what he does. My therapist, Michelle, used to say, we're just collecting information. And that's what this is. If he comes towards you, you have a chance at something real. If he doesn't, you have your answer and you have your life. I want to leave you with one more thing. If you're loving an avoidant man right now, or you have been, and you lost yourself somewhere along the way trying to figure out what would make him stay, I want you to know that this is one of the most common, exhausting, unspoken experiences women in my work describe. You're not weak, you're not desperate, you're not too much. You're trying to solve a paradox that he probably can't articulate or doesn't understand, with no information and no language, and you've used every tool that you had. That's love. It just was not by itself enough without this understanding. The man on the other side of this conversation, if he's willing to do the work, will eventually be able to give you language for what he's been asking for. If he's not willing to do his work, no amount of language from you will move him. And that's also true. And if you're reading the situation honestly, you probably already know which one you're dating. The point is not to teach him how to love you. The point is to know what you've been tracking so that you can make a real choice and then make it. You already know what to do. I'm not saying it's hard if the choice is to walk away. God knows that I have not been willing to do that. But I am with a person who's very much as curious as I am about himself and who's doing an immense amount of work. That's the best sign to look for. If you want him to have language for himself, last week's episode in For the Boys, playlist number 4, is written directly to him. It's called Why You Want Her to Need You and Also Not Need You. Send it to him if you want, or don't. The point of these 2 episodes is that you no longer have to be the one doing the translation. This is the work I do every day at the Loom Life and in my personal life. If you have been in this paradox with an avoidant man and you're ready to stop performing your way through it, the link to book a discovery call is in the show notes. We can have a real conversation with me. No pressure. I love to visit with people and just touch base. So no pressure for anything more than a quick call. Drop a comment if anything in this one landed for you, especially the women who recognize themselves in section 4. We want to hear from you. Other women, so to the other women out there, thank you for tuning in to Bowling Threads. This is Leslie. I'll see you next time.